Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Lushbaugh. I am a theater arts educator. I teach down in Klein ISD, which is north of Houston. I teach middle school, and I'm about to start my 25th year of teaching. I can't believe that. But here we are. I really am I love acting theory. I love the concept of it. I love different ways of diving into characterization. And so I just want to kind of go about my thoughts on what we read this week. So first off, the Moscow Art Theater, the essay that I think it's Banshee wrote. A couple observations that I had. One was the fact that I just love that Danchenko and Stanislavski get together for an evening and they're there for what, like 18, 20 hours, like discussing things, and they had never met before. I just thought that's kind of interesting. I feel like that's almost like kindred spirits have met, and all of a sudden it's like this genius that has occurred, like magically, which I kind of think it was, because Danchenko could have just said, "No way, you're not a good actor, Stanislavski. You're forget it." But they really took to heart like what each other had to say. And I love the second part of what I want to say is I like the essence of the fact that they had roles within their art theater that they wanted to create. You know, Stanislavski was doing this, Dan Chesky was going to do this. Danchenko was going to do this. And I think that's super important for any department, like having those roles set up. I think sometimes, you know, in high school, there might be 2 or 3 directors, or even I have another cohort. And just having those roles established of who's doing what can be very powerful. And I kind of think if they didn't have it, the art theater probably wouldn't have been successful. The last part of what I want to talk about is the essence that the author talks about the natural world that they created. I'm not talking about theater yet. I'm not talking about the method of acting. I want to talk about the realism that they created on the stage, and the impact that had on theater was immense. Because think about it, prior to this time in history, we just had like maybe a flat, or we had wings and shutters on the stage. We had maybe a couch, nothing that was actually realistic on the stage. So can you imagine being an audience member and walking into the theater of their first production, and you basically walk into your living room because it has everything there? I think it would have blown their minds. And I really think that changed theater from that get-go. From that moment, it changed the essence of what theater could be and the possibilities of it. So that aspect I totally respect. Because I'm not just a director, but I love tech. I'm a huge scenic and costume design person. And so I love that element of realism. The next thing going on to like the book was the method itself. I love that Thespis is taking us on a journey. I think that's awesome. And like, I'm thinking of how can I do that with my students with acting theory, like using Thespis as a tool. I think that's kind of cool. I'm going to explore that we've got some new digital apps that we're starting to work with. So I might end up, using him as my guide. Now I was raised on the method in college. I knew all about it. Many of my professors kind of use that as a basis of here's what you should do. I remember being on the stage once and my director saying, "Hey, just remember a time that you felt sad. Dive into an emotional experience." And I can remember, oh my God, I'm gonna have to live that over and over and over again in order to get this emotion out. And that was one aspect of the method that I did not really like as a person, as an actor. I don't really like it as a director. But the other aspects of the method I love. I use a lot of concentration with my students. I use imagination. I use focus. I use the magic, what if this was happening? How would you be? And with my older kids, I use a lot of circumstantial stuff. Like, here's the circumstances. Here's the situation. How would this feel? What would this be like? Let's use our imagination. And I think that can be very healthy for students, especially, between the ages of 12 and 14. You don't want them to dive into an emotional experience that they had and have to drudge that up. And we've talked about that too in our acting class, our level 3 acting class. So anyways, That's kind of my takeaways this week. Great information. I'm looking forward to the group theater next week. And that's all I got. So I'll see y'all next week. Bye.